How many meals should you be feeding your dog per day? I can't tell you how many owners are getting this wrong and how detrimental it is to canine health. 70% of UK dogs are obese. We know the dangers of obesity. It makes dogs more susceptible to nearly every single type of illness. Long-term degenerative diseases like kidney and liver disease, arthritis, your dog's going to be less mobile quicker. It's also a contributor to canine cancer. 47% of dogs are dying from cancer, and getting this right will reduce their risk of cancer. Basically, in this video, we're going to look at what a natural diet is for a dog, because if you feed them naturally, it will help them live longer. I made a video of what your dog is, how they've evolved, and what a natural diet should be. I'm going to link it at the end. Long story short in that video is that they are scavenging opportunistic carnivores. A scavenging opportunistic carnivore is not supposed to stumble upon breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's not even supposed to stumble upon 2 main meals a day. And if they did, that would be totally unnatural and in turn detrimental to their health. If we look at this natural lifestyle, we can then humanize it into how many meals should we feed our dog? How many times are we going to put that dog food bowl down full of a nice tasty meal which they've had to do sweet nothing to get? For puppies that are 8 weeks old, when they're coming off their mother's milk, to around 3 months old, they should have 3 small meals a day. That's because they are getting used to foods and because they're growing at a pretty fast rate. From 3 months old to a year old, we're still going to give them 2 meals a day, and that's because growing is a relatively intense process that requires a lot of energy. From a year old, or once they're fully grown, it's 1 meal to 1.5 meals per day maximum. Before I get into why that is, I've made a video on how much you need to feed your dog per day, and I do advise you watch it. I'll link it at the end because there's a reason why 70% of UK dogs are obese, and that's because we're getting these fundamentals so wrong. So please have a watch. I'll link it at the end. Adult dogs, why shouldn't we be feeding them a main meal at breakfast and a main meal for dinner? The reason is the digestive system needs time to rest, and when it's resting, the body can perform functions that helps it recover and to be healthier. In the human world, we call this intermittent fasting, but in the dog world, what we should really call it is how you're supposed to feed your dog. By giving your dog 1 main meal and a small meal or treat, raw meaty bone for example, within a 5-hour window of that main meal, it gives the body a period of time where it's not digesting. Recent studies have shown that fundamental bodily processes, vital processes, are stimulated when the body is not digesting. And this only happens around 16 hours after the last meal. If you're feeding breakfast and dinner, your dog doesn't get that stimulation. It doesn't have that period of rest, and it won't receive vital health benefits that these fundamental bodily processes have to offer. What are these natural bodily processes and how do they help your dog? When the body is in a digestive state, the cells are absorbing nutrients. Comparatively to when it's outside of the digestive state, it's working to remove those unhealthy cells, cells that are more susceptible to cancers. Studies have shown that these periods of non-eating reduce the risk of cancer. 47% of dogs are dying from cancer, and eating too many meals per day is a contributor to this stat. Part of what makes exercise so good and healthy is that it's a little bit stressful. Putting stress on the body isn't a bad thing. In fact, it releases proteins called sirtuins, which actually slow down the aging process. Fasting also does this, and what this indicates is engaging in these very natural things, a lifestyle which your dog has actually evolved in, to not eat all the time. It will help them be healthier, it will help them live longer because it's a natural way to live. One of the most frequent issues or health issues that dogs come to me with is kidney disease. And so often they're told to eat, 3 or 4 meals a day, which is totally unnatural. If you imagine a kidney that is under stress, constantly digesting, not having time to rest, it actually makes the situation a whole lot worse. With most digestive issues, If you give the body time to rest, it will work to sort itself out. If you continuously putting food through it, it does the exact opposite. It doesn't get time to rest, and it in turn makes the issue worse. These periods of time can go up to 48 hours, and that is in fact the healthiest amount of time to fast. I wouldn't recommend it that you did it every week, maybe once every 2 weeks. And some of you will be like, no way, my dog is not doing that. And in many ways, you'd be right. They are extremely clever creatures who want more food all the time. They're scavenging opportunists. And changing their routine will mean they throw every single trick they have at you to get you to succumb. They're very smart, like I said, but you need to be smarter. You need to realize that what you're doing by changing their routine is more natural and a healthy thing for them. Many of you will say, well, my dog throws up gastric juices if they don't get their meal. In actual fact, when you reduce the meals down to 1 a day, the amount of gastric juices that they are producing in their stomach will decrease. During this time where your dog isn't eating, it will start to use their fat stores, and that will incite a natural weight loss. Insulin levels will also come down, and that will help decrease bodily inflammation. Changing your dog's routine will take 3 days or so, but after that, they will have forgotten about their previously less healthy lifestyle, and they will have forgiven you for not giving them breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Remember, less is more with food, and it's always quality over quantity. For those of you wondering, okay, how am I going to do this? How am I going to reduce the meals down from, let's say, 3 to 1? I'd say go to 2 for 2 days and then down to 1. It really doesn't need to be a slow process. It's just a rip the plaster off moment. The most important thing when coming off a fast is that you're replenishing the system with quality fresh foods. It's the most important meal, that first one back. Make sure it is a quality fresh food meal. Don't replenish the system with a processed food. That would be detrimental. Make sure it's a complete fresh food meal. Remember, you can download the whole nutrition guide with all the information you could possibly need in one place for free, totally free. So click the link in the description, get onto the website and download the guide. I'm going to link the 2 videos, what your dog is, what is natural feeding and how we should approach your dog's diet, and also how much food you should be feeding your dog. The fundamentals of dog nutrition, extremely, extremely interesting.